Welcome to Beyond the Drywall. This is the place where we talk about tools, tenants, and the truths about property management and construction that nobody else will say. This is not some guru corporate, you too can make passive income in real estate spiel. This is a gritty, real-world survival guide, presented in a humorous yet no BS manner. I'm John, and I didn't set out to be a property manager. In fact, 7 years ago I was broke, homeless, and riding Uber around to manage rentals. Today I run 2 companies. This is my story. Typically, there are 3 types of rehabs for the small investor. Depending on your own personal skill set, financial resources, and network of contacts, you may decide to either play it safe and stay in the kiddie pool, step into the deep end, or go out past the breakwater. When considering which type of rehab fits your goals, it's important to weigh not only the potential rewards, but also the risks involved. Think carefully about the resources at your disposal, and be realistic about what you can accomplish without stretching yourself too thin. Whether you choose a small, medium, or big rehab, the key is to align your strategy with your capabilities and to plan for unexpected expenses. Small rehabs typically offer more manageable challenges, while medium projects require a bit more coordination and oversight. Big rehabs, on the other hand, demand greater investment, both financially and in terms of time and expertise. As you decide which path to take, keep in mind that every project size brings its own opportunities for growth and learning. Let's say that your appetite for destruction is minimal. You are more of a bootstrapper mentality. This is your first time dabbing your toe in the investment property pond, and you really don't have the money to get burned. You've heard stories where people have found great deals, invested $50,000 to $60,000, did their own remodel, and put in another $20,000 worth of materials and sweat equity, and voila, the unit ARV'd out to $120,000, and they flipped it for $130,000. Well, good luck with that. These type of renovations are more along the line of lipstick remodels, getting the property ready for listing. Even though you'd like to do it all yourself, and you'd really hate to have to beg for money from your family to complete the project. This is a reality that you are going to have to deal with. What kind of project should you be looking for? I can tell you now, if this is where you are at, don't. Just don't. You are not ready yet. Walk away and go back to learning more from what others have done. Those deals are getting harder and harder to come by now. The thing is, with these types of deals, it suddenly becomes you, or you and your partner against the world. Even more accurately, you are assuming that you personally have the skill set, the tools, and the ability to manage the rehab on the timelines that you need to get the property to market, all while keeping a razor-thin budget. For example, when are you going to close on this puppy? Spring, summer, planning on 60 days to do the rehab? So, now you are in winter. Not a lot of houses move in winter. So, now the thing is listed on the market and waiting for things to thaw. Nice. Meanwhile, you have debt service to pay. A lot of that debt service will be high-interest credit cards. Choosing when to do your rehab and who will do the actual labor is almost as important as the actual deal on the property. Investment properties, like most things in life, follow the simple rule that if it seems too good to be true, it is. I had a friend that got on one of those online sites. Saw the pictures, acknowledged that was a fixer-upper, knew the area, without hesitation, dropped $35,000 on the place sight unseen. How bad could it be? Even if you budgeted $60,000 for the rehab, surely you'd come out with a property that would ARV around $120,000 to $130,000. That was the single fastest in-and-out property acquisition I've ever seen. There was a hole where the roof was. Every room had hoarder stuff up to the ceiling, and the steps down to the basement were non-existent. Plumbing was gone. HVAC was gone. $60,000 wouldn't even begin to get this thing to the livable stage. This place needed an easy $120,000 worth of work. The really sad part of the story? The comps just would not support it. My friend ended up relisting it and lost a few thousand. The same guy learned his lesson and found another property in a bad area that was supposedly on the rise. He found a property through a wholesaler for around $69,000, dropped $12,000 on the most minimal rehab that I have ever done. We are talking a blanket, top to bottom, one-color primer. Threw in some new appliances, and Section 8 off he went. The unit rented out for a couple years. He then ended up selling it for just what he put into it. Unfortunately, the area did not pick up, and it never really comped well, but he learned a valuable lesson. Choose your battles wisely. If I were to get started with my own first investment property, I would probably take the whole thing on as a learning experience, meaning that as long as I broke even or made a couple bucks, the whole thing would be a win. I'd need to understand that the safer investments bring about lower margins, that after I got 2 or 3 properties under my belt, that only then could I take on the bigger game. Before I even started, I would make several lists. Where I could get money from, where could I get lines of credit, multiple materials vendors, multiple tradespeople. Who did I know that had done this type of stuff before? I would also take an honest inventory as to what my own skill set had to offer, meaning how much actual rehab work had I done in the past. Do I handle the stress of unknowns well? While there are many great and informative videos online, looking at them while you are up to your knees in sawdust is not really the time. Also, on your first property, you need to ask your partner, is this something that you both want to do, and will your relationship survive the stress of project managing? Your first property? Laugh now, but you'd be surprised how many investment projects have crushed a relationship. Assuming that everyone is on board is not the same thing as everyone actually being on board. If your relationship is already on shady ground, do yourself a favor and put the project on the shelf until later. So let's talk about the actual types of investment property I would consider for a first-timer. The easiest and best one would be a property that was already ready to go. Freshly painted, new appliances, late model, what we call move-in ready. You are going to pay a little bit of a premium on this because the margins are already ate up in commissions, materials, and labor, new appliances, etc. If you can make money renting it after that, then you pretty much know what to expect for the first couple years. This is more or less the safe zone. But maybe you like a little more excitement in your life. You figure you've been around the block and know that with just a little more pain, you could start to bring in some greater margins. Well then, you need to determine if you are going to be a flipper or you want to buy and hold them. Maybe you might want to rent them out a while. Hope they appreciate. If you want to be a flipper, then really you are going to look for properties that have good bones and only need a little TLC. Lipstick turns. Looks great in pictures, reads well on the listing, but not a whole lot of money was put into it. You are going to do your best here to keep things down to $15,000 to $20,000 for the update, plus the cost of the property, with new appliances, hot water tank, or HVAC work, chewing up the bulk of your budget. Plan on doing all your own hauling, painting, tile, and carpentry. None of your friends are going to help you with that stuff. Learn the curb appeal landscaping tricks. Throw some fake red silk, plants of the porch. Have the cabinets refinished professionally. Try and save the tub. Go ahead and buy a gas-powered power washer now. Keep in mind, these kinds of projects really teach you more about investing in real estate than actually make you any real money. Here you will learn valuable lessons in what not to buy. You will understand that after everything, the margins are not that great. But most importantly, it will teach you discipline in not falling in love with your investment property and how to hold to your budget. It will also teach you a little about the stress of this business. The type of arguments that you will have over the smaller projects are the same ones you will have on the bigger ones. Only the dollars are bigger. Hope that you did your homework right and that you come out on the upside at least $20,000. Otherwise, why do this? The attached pictures kind of show what I am talking about. The overall damage was about $18,000. We were able to save some of the appliances. The roof was fine. It was mainly the walls that gave us the worst amount of grief. By being frugal and knowing what to do, you can see that the house had good bones. The buyer could have dropped more into the unit by adding better fixtures and some other nice-to-haves, but this property was rentable after the rehab just fine. The next level of investment property rehab is probably the most common. This is pretty much done after you have learned a thing or two with smaller flips. Here you are looking at houses in the $100,000 to $140,000 range. Even these are getting harder to come by. The thing about these properties is that with the higher risk, you can actually achieve higher payouts. Still, for the casual investor, these properties are outside the scope of the do-it-yourselfer. The biggest problem here is funding. You are not big enough to have great lines of credit. Many end up doing bridge loans, or pull from family until you have done this a few times. Here you need to focus on getting an actual crew together to do all the heavy lifting. Painting, sheetrock, carpentry, real landscaping, LVP flooring, and maybe a tile and bathroom guy. Just remember, with these houses, the kitchen, bathrooms, and basements are the major selling points. In fact, don't even look at properties without a basement. Finish the damn thing out, stick a bathroom in it, and immediately the thing is now worth $25,000 more. This is where the real money should go. At this point, you need to decide the use of your investment property. Is it a rental or is it a flip? The difference here is about $10,000 to $12,000 in what is put into the kitchen and baths. Tile work often plays an emotional part to the buyer. Gas and higher-end appliances make the difference to someone looking to buy their forever home. Your budget here can easily go $60,000 to $75,000 plus the cost of the house. So now you are looking at $175,000 to $225,000 with an ARV around $300,000 and up. So quite a bit more margin for the same amount of time and similar stress. The risk here is your contractors. You cannot truly consider yourself an investor if you've never been mucked over by a contractor. Let me count the ways. Contractor never completes the job on time. Contractor disappears and you can't get him back. Contractor wants more money. Contractor's work is crappy. Contractor is way over budget. The list goes on and on. Hey, live and learn. Did you really invest $250,000 on someone that was not fully vetted? Somebody you met on Craigslist, social media, or guys at the Home Depot parking lot? Do your homework. Reputations carry. Talk to others that have done this before. Go to the local investor meets and ask around. Times are tough. You can find good people. Or just hire me for crying out loud. But do your homework before you sign the first contract. It will save your sanity, your wallet, and maybe your marriage. The last most common type is investment property rehab, is the one for the real gambler. Those that like a little bit of heartburn with their morning coffee. The ones that like to live a little on the edge. These guys have done this about 10 to 15 times before they got to this level. They may flip or they may buy and hold. The thing that sets these guys apart from you is that they actually have access to funding, along with second and third lines of credit. With these guys, the formula is a little different. They look for properties that are super good deals, but have bugs. Bugs they can handle. The property may have had 30-year-old smoker hoarder issues that never stepped out into the yard and came complete with 9 cats before they passed away type of thing. A little bit of flooring sag, no problem. Have to totally gut the existing kitchen and bathrooms and then add finished rooms in the basement along with another new bathroom. Easy peasy. Maybe there are structural issues with the back deck and concrete issues with the front porch, all in a good day's work. These people know people. People that can get them out of anything they get themselves into. They have a Rolodex with an army of roofers, siding people, window installers, carpenters, sheetrockers, masons, electricians, plumbers, and HVAC people. Adding new ducts and vents is just another line item on the list. However, the number one thing these types of investors have, and that you must realize that you may never get to their level, is this: vision. They all have a clear vision of what the buyer will pay for. They can turn a near piece of junk level house into a buyer's dream. A home for each level of opportunity. Starter home, retirement home, or a family home. They know the needed features of each, and then they will add little tweaks to make it that much more appealing. The type of property this level of investor looks for is in the $125,000 to $150,000 range. They will easily match another $100,000 to $125,000 budget into the rehab, so now you are looking at $225,000 to $250,000 all in. The flip, however, you can come out at upwards of $350,000 and more. Not bad for 90 days of work. Many times these units are barely on the market, 60 days before having an offer. Today's takeaways. 1. Before taking on any investment property project, know your limits. Literally write them down. Identify your own strengths and weaknesses. 2. Always identify who and how will the work get done before the project even starts, and then have a backup plan. 3. Prepare yourself with additional lines of credit for the unexpected. 4. The more involvement, the higher the potential return.